I'll share a conversation, a very brief conversation I had with Mr. Selleck last week, and it was this. I said to him, do not construe my not supporting Measure H with tacit approval of your project. I said, the two do not go hand in glove. You've got an awful lot to prove if you make your case. And that was the end of that conversation. Bottom line, when it comes to this redevelopment zone and this area of our city that quite frankly, a number of significant voters have told us, clean up the freeway corridor, is this. No other developer has come in with a viable plan for that site. And it's not for a lack of trying, okay? We've spoken to some very significant developers, even the developers of the Promenade, and the same gentleman is the same one who developed the Commons in Calabasas. And there are a lot of problems with that particular parcel that make it a real challenge for anybody to develop into a viable piece. Now, does that mean that Home Depot is the only choice that faces this city? Absolutely not. And, you know, as one gentleman said, I knocked on his door and he tried to, you know, get me to take a position on this, and I wouldn't do it. And I still won't do it, as I reiterated at the beginning of this meeting, because we don't have all the facts. Now, if Measure H passes, we'll never have a chance to have that discourse and discussion in our community. If it doesn't pass, we may have that opportunity. But does that mean I'm going to vote for it? Doesn't mean that at all. And I dare say I can't speak for my colleagues, but I have not heard any consensus on this council that says this is the correct course for our city, because we don't know all the facts, and neither do you. You have opinions, and that's fine. But until we have a concrete plan in front of us, until we know what the architecture looks like, until we have an environmental impact report, until we have the traffic studies, we don't know what the impacts of this would be on the community. Go back to my statements before the break. We have to make some choices as a community. Mrs. Murphy and her friends convinced this community we don't need the income from a utility tax, which we do not have. Now we're being told that this community doesn't really want to see any kind of major retail and the tax that it generates. So where does the money come from? We as a community will have to make those difficult choices, because we will be in a less than enviable position, particularly as compared to our peers, as to how to fund the essential services you expect from your city. So that's the truth, folks. You know, we sit up here, and some folks said some very invective things, and they said some things that, quite frankly, you know, weren't true, and I have great exception to. You're entitled to your opinions, okay? But let me give you this. This council does things by the book. There are no backdoor deals. There are no secret meetings. There is nothing that this council could agree to as it pertains to development that could be done without an open public meeting where a public hearing is involved in it. So put those fears to rest. Those of you who, as one speaker said, who take the time to come to the Planning Commission meetings and to the City Council meetings where development is being considered, you'd know that. Okay? And while Mel may have an agreement, or not an agreement, but a document on his desk that threatens eminent domain, I can tell you that that was not authorized by the City of Agoura Hills. Okay? It wasn't. Because the only way that process can occur, it's a protracted legal process. And to my knowledge, no one here has signed off on commencing that process. So, you know, there's a lot of emotions and feelings, especially as they pertain to some, you know, folks who've been entities in this community for a long time, and I understand that. But respect the process, because that's what we do when we stand up and we salute this flag prior to every meeting. We can disagree as normal human beings about what the best course of this community is. But none of us up here is a crook. None of us up here is trying to flim-flam you. None of us up here is trying to do you out of something that you're entitled to, particularly where it pertains to due process. So let's honor the system and let the system have its day. If you have any questions for me, particularly as they pertain to some of the developmental issues that have been discussed over the years, I'll talk to you after the meeting. I'll be glad to talk to you on the phone. My number's listed. I also check my messages here every day at City Hall. And I'll be glad to be open and honest with you, because, quite frankly, that's what I ran on. And that's what I believe in. I have supported every open sunshine law that pertains to government that there is, because I believe in that. And it's disturbing when an entity as respected as the Los Angeles Times mangles that process somewhere along the way. That's another issue for another day. I thank you for your indulgence of the time, and my colleagues. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Jeff. Mr. Codori, I'm assuming you want to make a remark.
I do want to. I actually have a whole bunch of notes, but I don't really want to go into anything really lengthy here. I guess I was maybe a little bit younger when I started on the city council. I aged a little bit just tonight, right? I've always been as upfront as I can with people. When I knocked on their door, and I want to thank you for that vote, sir. Thank you. I like to think you made the right choice. Thank you. I know we can disagree on Measure H, or for that matter, a wide variety of issues. And there are reasons and processes for debating the issues, debating Measure H or whatever it is, and addressing what the impacts of it will be, what how it works, what happens, what it means, and so forth. What I find disturbing is this relentless and vicious attack on the integrity of the people up here. I've seen it in the CRG website, where literally we've been accused of crimes. It's a crime to hold public meetings. That's against the law, folks. We don't do that. Secret meetings, what did I say? I said public. It's a crime to do those things. And it's simply, we don't do it. It makes no sense. But what I'm seeing is, instead of addressing the issue of Measure H, we're seeing a campaign which is focusing on trying to destroy the credibility of decent people, decent, honest, hardworking people who have nothing to gain, who sit up here with nothing to gain personally from what they do for the city. So I guess what I have to say is, make your argument. Go out there. State your case. Convince people of your point of view. Do whatever you have to do. But for heaven's sakes, keep the personal, vicious invective out of it. No one up here deserves to be accused of these things. No one up here deserves. This article in the Times, this is not about fact. This is spin. I don't know whether this reporter is some kind of rookie or what, but he got sucked in pretty good. He got taken in. So I guess I certainly will do my best not to make anything personal in the debate over Measure H. You all know I oppose Measure H. I think it's bad